Welcome back to the channel. RacerX here, and today I wanted to do a short video for you on the future of Dodge. Many of you guys know I was just in Las Vegas at the SEMA show, and we saw Dodge unveil a bunch of different crate engines. Today I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. I really haven't had a chance to unpack all of the information I got from SEMA. I want to share some things with you about what I feel like the future of the brand is really going to be like. Their new engine offerings, their upgrades. Is everything going to electric? Are we going to see some hybrid stuff they didn't show us at SEMA? Well, today I'm going to talk to you guys all about it. I want to go in a little bit more detail about some of the engines we saw. Of course, we did see the special editions there as well, which are going to be almost impossible to get. We've seen a lot of stuff about dealer markup on all those things. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about after coming back from SEMA. So today should be a fun one. If you're brand new to my channel, please do me a big gigantic favor. Please subscribe. You can find the button over here in the corner. You can find it down below as well. And a lot of great things happening this year on the channel and going into next year. Lots of secret stuff as well. And off we go. Now guys, really quick, before we get too far into the video, I just want to make real quick mention. I actually do have an Instagram page, RacerX Official. I'm actually pretty easy to find. Over 160,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, over 25 million views. Yet I have very few people that follow me on Instagram at all. And it is proportionately kind of weird how small my Instagram is. So guys, do me a big favor. Go follow me on my Instagram page. You get all sorts of insights into the new videos that I have coming out, and I'll be posting more content there on Instagram. A lot more fun stuff that you don't always get to see on my YouTube channel. So anyway, hope to see you there. So I basically had to come inside to tuck out of the wind. I realized there's just a slight echo in the camera, guys. I'm so sorry. There's so many hard surfaces in my house. So I've tried to kind of deaden it however I can. But I want to talk about these special edition cars, because obviously I showed you those while I was at the SEMA show. It was really neat to see all 6 of those special edition cars lined up right there in front of me so I could show them to you, I could get in them, and kind of describe to you really what they look like in person. And if I'm being really honest, I mean, they didn't really feel that much different than just a normal Charger or Challenger that you would go to a dealership and see in that same trim level, right? I mean, yeah, the Black Ghost is cool, and yeah, the Charger Daytona, King Daytona, I should say, is also pretty darn cool. Yeah, they're not making very many of them, but essentially they are still just jailbreak Hellcats, and they're going to be astronomically expensive, because I've called around, I've talked to some of these dealerships, and some of these dealerships are charging $100,000 over sticker, or they're trying to, for these special edition Hellcats, which is just flat absurd, right? So now we have a horsepower locator out there. So not only can you find your special edition cars and what dealerships they're allocated to, but you can also find your normal cars, your normal super stocks, your Hellcats, your Scatpacks, all the way down to like your SXT trims. You can still call up these dealerships. You can get going with them in terms of putting your order in, speccing those cars out, all of that good stuff. It's there for us to do. And you can see that right there on the Dodge Garage website. So it is pretty neat in terms of the special editions. Do I feel like they're worth it? Yeah, they're only available in 2023, very limited quantity, right? 1,000 on the Scatpacks and 300 on the Hellcats. And yeah, they threw in a couple different colors on some of them. You have certainly a Charger and a Challenger Swinger edition, and then you get 2 colors in each of those. And so they just try to vary it up a little bit, but there's no specking those out. They come the way they come. And if you don't like the way that they look, or you want to change just a little bitty thing here or there, you're out of luck, right? Because you can't change those at all. They come in just the way that they build them. And then of course dealerships are gouging people. Even for the Scat Pack variants, I've heard as much as $30,000 over sticker they're trying to get for those. It's ridiculous. So unless you just have money to burn, maybe those special edition cars really aren't worth the money. Yes, they're cool. Yes, they're just a little bit different. Yeah, they're more graphics package than anything else. The Super B's cool because it does have the drag radials. But yeah, I probably wouldn't go out and spend a bunch of extra money, especially over a sticker on one of those. Now, the 7th edition car might be a little different. So the 7th edition car was really a big bummer. That was one of the main reasons I wanted to go to the SEMA show, was because they were going to unveil this Challenger that was supposed to be destined for the history books. And of course, we didn't see it at all. And come to find out, it seems like they're having some engine trouble with that particular trim. That's why they weren't able to unveil it to us. And that leaves a huge question mark in my mind, right? In terms of what are they going to offer? How many of those are they going to offer? We don't know any of that, and just how much horsepower will it makes. I've got a somewhat of a good sense in terms of what it might be, but I don't want to just spread rumor and gossip without having a really good idea of what it is. So I just want to just leave it as what it is, but we don't know when we're going to see that. I'm thinking it's probably going to be early in 2023, and it's probably going to be a late 2023 release, and I would not expect them to build very many units. I put out a video about this before, but I think based on what I've heard, if you haven't owned a Demon previously, you're not even going to be in like the raffle to be able to buy one. So the average person just in the general public that's not owned a Demon won't even be eligible to get it, which is a huge bummer for me, as I've mentioned before, because yeah, I got hooped out of my Demon all the way back in 2018, a whole nother story on that. But there's going to be a lot of really disappointed people. And, you know, it remains to be seen if dealers are going to be able to mark that car up as well when we finally do see it. So other than that, we saw the GLH Hornet, which we've already seen at Speed Week. We saw the Challenger convertible, which once again, we already saw at Speed Week. The exact same car was there. Both of the two same cars were there at SEMA. And then we saw the Banshee. And of course, that one had drag radials on it. It was in a red. I actually like that car better than what they showed us at Speed Week. But once again, we don't know anything in terms of horsepower on that upper level Banshee. We already know what the horsepower is going to be on the lower level trims, right? On the two lower level, and what the direct connection offerings are going to be. But unfortunately, we still don't know what that Bad Daddy Banshee is going to offer us. And what else will they give us for 2024, right? I mean, that we're in this limbo status with Dodge in terms of like, surely they're not only going to give us just this electric Banshee, all the Hemis are going away. What else can they give us, right? And that's where we're sitting, right? As Charger enthusiasts and Challenger enthusiasts, Dodge enthusiasts overall, we feel like there's a severe lack of understanding and knowledge and options going into 2024. And that's a scary thing. So let's talk a little bit about these engine offerings, and maybe, just maybe, that might give us a glimmer of hope. Now, in a different video, I was able to show you some of the offerings on the new direct connection engines that they showed us at SEMA. As a matter of fact, I had Chad, who's one of the senior leaders of direct connection, take us through those engines one by one. And we got a lot of really useful information on that. And yes, I realize they're not coming in a production car, at least they haven't told us yet, but there is one engine that's extremely intriguing to me that I did want to mention. But first, I want to talk about the Hellephant he talked about. He said there were 4 different trim levels coming out in the Hellephant, 2 of course with iron blocks and 2 aluminum blocks. So there for a while, they showed us the Hellephant. A lot of people wanted it. Demand far exceeded supply, and there were a lot of disappointed people that wanted to order it, and it simply wasn't available. But guess what? In Q2 of next year, we now know that they will have the Hellephant available again. That's the aluminum block 426 that produces 1,000 horsepower. That's got the 3-liter blower on it. I mean, it is an absolute monster of an engine. And then of course, they're even going to have an E85 flex fuel compatible version of that comes out later. Aluminum block again, that makes 1,100 horsepower.
Hell yes.
That is pretty exciting news. And they also have the iron block, as I mentioned before. They have a 900 horsepower variant, and they have a 1,000 horsepower variant with that 3-liter supercharger on it from IHI. So that is really neat to know. Now, keep in mind, these are basically race applications, and everybody wants to see them stuff one of these Hellephants into, into a current Challenger or a Charger, whatever it is, and offer it to the public. And the truth of it is that these are race applications, guys. It's been that way. They've not been able to get those carb compliant. It just puts out so much power, and they just have not been able to do it for the longest time. And so they've always kind of put those engines out there with the stipulation that, look, these are not road legal. And unfortunately, they were never able to stuff these in a production car. And as far as I know, nothing has changed. They're maintaining the fact that these engines actually can only go in cars that are essentially race cars and not street cars. And so it is a little bit of a bummer. So while the Hellephant has this nostalgia around it about being this monster, if they're not going to put it in a production car and it's only for race cars, then yeah, it sort of takes the sting out of it just a little bit. Now, I will also make mention that they showed us another engine that was very intriguing. It was actually a 426 with a 3-liter Whipple supercharger on it. And basically, once again, only a race engine. But this thing had forged internals. I mean, absolute bad daddy of an engine. 1,500 horsepower in a crate engine. And just an absolute monster. Now, it does cost $60,000. So once again, if you're out there building a race car, this isn't for street car use, anything like that. But if you're building a race car and you got 60 grand laying around and want that crate power plant, this is another one that's going to be available. I believe it's going to be late next year when that's available. But it is pretty cool to see Dodge coming out with an engine that you can order directly from Direct Connection that makes 1,500 horsepower. What a beast. But the next engine is the one that really intrigues me. So Chad also took us through their Hurricrate offering, which you saw right there in front of us as well. That is a twin turbo inline 6. And I realize that might not be very exciting to a lot of people. Oh, you know, an inline 6, woohoo. But at the end of the day, look at the kind of powers that it produces. They have one offering that produces 420 horsepower. That's actually the more watered down one they call the Cat 1 Hurricane. And still, 420 horsepower is nothing to sneeze at. Remember, these engines are going to be very tunable, but the one that interested me the most was their Cat 3 offering that he talked about at length. 550 horsepower and 531 pound-feet of torque. But where it really gets cool is when you talk about the torque curve on that, because anybody that knows racing and knows power and power curves, power under the curve, all that good stuff, you understand just how important it is to get your torque really fast. That's what makes things like the Tesla Plaid so darn formidable, is the fact that they make all of that torque basically immediately. Well, when you're getting at 3,500 RPM, if you're making peak torque, that means you're making your torque really, really fast, which gives you a lot of power under the curve, which basically makes cars faster. I mean, that's the truth of it, is the more power under the curve, traditionally, the faster the cars are. Now, you will see some big turbo cars at the track and stuff that have this really weird power curve that just kind of swoops out. And then at the very end, it curves way up and it builds power on the big end, but there's not very much power under the curve. And in my mind, that's not always the most satisfying driving experience. The more power under the curve, the more fun these things are to drive. So the Cat 3 Hurricane is a much more fuel efficient platform. It's also, direct injection. He mentioned it's got forged internals, right? So this one's actually, even though it's an inline 6, it almost has more of like a Ford type feel to it, because now we're talking about something with dual overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder, and that's what makes the Coyote breathe so well on the top end, is the fact that it is made that way, and it's just a really well-designed engine. Well, now all of a sudden Dodge is doing dual overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder, all that kind of stuff, in this brand new, very modern engine that's more fuel efficient and has forged internals, which means that now all of a sudden, with just some tuning, maybe some downpipes and stuff like that, this thing could make big power. I actually talked to the people at Direct Connection, and they said they fully expect this engine could make like 1,000 horsepower quite easily, which we know the Hellcat engine right now will do as well, but it's in a much smaller, it's in a much lighter platform. It's just a more modern engine altogether. So that is actually a pretty appealing thing when you ask me. Yes, I know it doesn't sound like a big burbly V8, but there are some things that are really appealing to this. So I actually put out a poll on my channel to see, hey, look, if they stuffed the Hurricane 3 engine into, a redesigned Challenger, which as far as we know right now, the Challenger is going away after next year, which is a huge bummer because it's been kind of a staple of the Dodge lineup for, well, a really, really long time. And so many people love that thing. But if they redesigned a Challenger, made it lighter, a little bit lighter chassis, and then gave it this much lighter, more modern engine, even though it is an inline 6, it's not a V8, would people be receptive to buying something like that? And it actually surprised me, the results. I think 2.3 thousand have already voted just since yesterday on that poll. And by and large, I think like 60% of you guys actually said that you might give it a shot. I just think there are so many people out there that are so anti-EV, which is obviously, with the Banshee and all that stuff coming down the pipe, and they're preaching the brotherhood of muscle. A lot of people simply just hate the idea of EV. So maybe this gives us another option. But he did say he doesn't know if they're going to be putting it in a production car. But I would absolutely love to see the Hurricane 3 engine go in a lighter, maybe slightly smaller Challenger. And I mean, this would take a lot of weight out of that car. The performance, potential would be absolutely huge on this. And I think it could actually sort of reinvigorate a lot of people's big issue with Dodge right now. I did just want to add, a lot of people say, well, RacerX, how can you get excited about an inline turbo 6? But the truth of the matter is the current 6.4 liter Hemi is not very boost friendly at all. It does not have forged internals. As a matter of fact, that engine really doesn't like much boost at all. If you're going to boost that thing, you pretty much have to keep it under 7 pounds if you want that thing to live for any amount of time. There are several kind of restrictions to that. And of course, you also have restrictions to the transmission, there in terms of how much power that will hold in the current Scat Pack as well. A lot of guys end up going with a Hellcat transmission and having to upgrade everything when they go to boost. This offering won't be like that at all. So if you're a tuner type guy and you like kind of tinkering with things and you want an easy way to add power, I mean, just look at all the things people have done with inline sixes in the past. When you only have to change the turbos out and you can make considerably more power, it really changes the game for Dodge. And if you think about things like the dark horse coming down the pipe from Ford, if Dodge was going to offer us, say, a redesigned Challenger with a much lighter, more modern engine that's very tunable, that sort of starts flipping the script a little bit. So in my mind, I feel like that is how Dodge could have just a little bit more success in the coming years. Because if you really look at just EVs in general, there are so many people that just don't like EVs. Regardless of how cool the car ends up really being or how much fun it is to drive, people just can't get over that mentally, that it doesn't have a big fire-breathing V8. And you know what? It is what it is. Change is really hard for people. Me, if it's fast, and it's fun to drive, I like it. So I can, I give everything its due. I mean, I'm not crazy about the Tesla Plaid, but you can't deny how incredibly fast the stupid thing is. And the Roadster is going to be even faster. I have a feeling this Banshee is going to be really, really fast, but I don't think it's going to be tremendously affordable, especially in the upper level trim. You're looking well into the 6 figures for sure. And then of course you've got all the direct connection add-ons there as well. If you want to be out there running with the Plaids and all that kind of stuff, you're going to have to really pony up some serious cabbage, and that's if you can get one. And then you've got the constraint of charging and all that kind of stuff that so many people bring up on a regular basis, is that our infrastructure really isn't there for everything to be going EV the way that it is. And so what is Dodge's gateway vehicle, the one that's going to kind of hold over their performance enthusiasts for a while and say, hey, you know what? That is kind of cool. Maybe I can get down with this. Maybe I can't get down with the EVs, but maybe I can get down with the turbo inline 6 that absolutely hauls butt. So they have to do something like that. They have to stick that in a production car of some sort and make it a good looking car that people can actually get a hold of, something they make enough of so that, people can get them and the dealerships won't kill you when you try to actually own one. And that would be a huge win, at least in my book, for Dodge at this point. So I would love to know what you guys think about all this. It's kind of a complicated issue. A lot of people are sort of scratching their heads like, what is Dodge doing right now? So let me know about what you guys think in the comments down below, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, RacerX.